This is episode 5 of Success of Success, and on today's episode we're going to be talking about advice and kind of a brief overview of what we've talked about through this channel and whatnot. So as we go along here, take notes, be mindful, and here we go. So Wyatt, through your interviews, what was advice they gave you? They gave teens, they gave college students. What are some main points you gathered, and who were they from?
So like with my mom, who's 42, she kind of was saying like, don't necessarily let other people, or don't let other people's like what they think about you influence you and your choices in life. And from Jeremy, he's 60, and I know him as a coach.
Wait, hold on. I have an opposing view on what your mom said.
Okay.
So Mr. Godfrey, who's 52 years old, we've talked about him a lot through this interview. So correct me if I'm wrong, but your mom said that don't let other people influence your success.
Yeah, so like kind of like,
or like dim your opportunity of success.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's very interesting, and I disagree. Even before I did the interviews, I believed that success comes from people around you, and you can only go higher by taking people with you and building that foundation in order to stand taller and stand stronger. And in Mr. Godfrey's interview, his biggest advice was the relationships you build will determine the altitude you go, end quote. And then he also says, we were talking about people and relationships, and he said, are they people that will take you where you want to go? Which I thought was very important, because in life you really are going to have to look around your circle and say, are these people that are going to go and reach for high places with me, or are these people that are just going to hold me down and keep me where I am? So I do believe that your circle of influence should be better for you.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with you on that, like, to an extent. Like, I think you shouldn't let other people, like, necessarily, like, if you think you did something really good,
yeah,
and like it is something that's pretty like objectively good for you or society or whatever, if like a person or two says like, oh, that was a terrible thing, like,
right,
I don't think you should let that affect you. But I think like you said, like, you should take feedback from other people. And
I'm not even saying feedback. I'm just saying, like, if those people are good influences in your life, they should be sticking with you.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. And then, so what I was gonna get into with Jeremy though,
Tell me more about Sheldon and his advice to you, since he's more of the youngest of the group. I want to hear his perspective real quick.
So he's 29. I know him as kind of like a family friend.
Right.
But he owns his own plumbing company, and his current definition of success is kind of just making sure his family's taken care of, like, financially as well as emotionally.
Right.
And like his advice was like, just don't be scared to start your own business. Like, well, don't be scared, and then specifically not like, if you feel like you can do it and like you have experience in a field and you want to start your own business, don't be scared to. Because that's like, I asked him what one of his regrets was, and it was waiting so long to start his business. Because he said he could have and probably should have started his business probably 5 years before he did. And I think that's kind of a big deal, especially with like how young he is. Like, an extra 5 years could have made like a lot of difference in like his overview of success, you could say.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Cindy Hancock, she also, in the interviews, when I asked her for her advice to me, her advice was more distant than the other interviewees' views on advice and what they thought I needed here. But she said, don't rush it. And she quoted, success isn't a race. Take your time to learn, grow, and love the people around you. And then her next biggest thing was just being kind, because you don't know what other people go through, and success without kindness isn't worth much. She said, fertilizer for a good life is kindness. But her view was more kind of slow taken, more just, you know what, just go through life, you do you, which I agree with. But also, what I've learned, even though I'm only 17 years old and I'm high school, college student, I disagree with just going with the flow and kind of finding yourself along the way. I think you really do need to take action and dig deep to find yourself and what you like. You know what I'm saying? What do you think?
I think that's really like, I guess I would say accurate. Like, I think you shouldn't just go with the flow and like, because that can, like, back to Mr. Godfrey, like, if say you're surrounded by some of the not so best
Exactly,
people,
they'll drown you down, and
yeah,
you
they'll
just
drag
kind
you
of
down, and like,
you get lost almost.
yeah, and like they can like change your trajectory of life and like make it so you're a lot, I guess you could say, like, less successful. Like, that's not necessarily the word
I
I'm
know,
looking
yeah,
for,
yeah.
but like they can, yeah, like we both said, like they can drag you down. They can,
Yeah.
like, it really just slows down your life, and it can really like, not ruin it, but it can really change your life.
I know what you're saying. That's kind of what Kara Schatt said. Her main point was more so about change and growth. And her advice to me was you have to allow for change. You have to allow for adaptation. You have to allow for new things and new different challenges that come with life, because that's how you're going to gain success overall.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get stronger. You're going to get more diverse with experience and with people and just with life in general.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And another thing that Sheldon said was that, like, don't be afraid to, like, work hard for what you want, which I think, kind of going back a little bit to Cindy's.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I think you almost have to be a little afraid to be a little daring, per se. Because, like, I have an experience. I'm training for a half marathon right now. I was scared to press submit for that button, but also deep down, I knew that would push me and that would be a huge success for me if I was able to complete it. So you do have to almost have that fear, but not of the challenge, but maybe just of the unknown.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what he was like. Don't be afraid to, like, work hard to get what you like.
I see.
You want to do that half marathon. It's
Yeah.
something you want, and it's something that when you do it, you're gonna be really proud of it. So, like,
Right.
I think that's more what he was saying with, like, just don't be afraid to do hard things to get what you want, if that makes sense.
I agree.
And then I think we covered Kara and, like, changing, and, like, I think that's kind of what Jeremy went over too. He's my 60-year-old coach.
Yes, I know.
And he really went in depth on, like, changing as you grow, and especially being not, like, ancient, but, like, as old as he is, like, going through a lot of life and experiencing a lot of different things. He kind of went through, like, some of how, like, success has changed for him, but also, like, how, like, different advice he would have given people at different stages of his life. And I thought that was really interesting. Like, when he was younger, he said he probably would have told another kid, like, starting out as, like, a trainer or a coach or an athlete, like, just do it, kind of, like, send it. But he didn't really bring up practicing, and he said that's his biggest regret in life is, like, or one of his biggest regrets, not really, like, always practicing as hard as he should for different things he does. And so I think that's kind of, seeing that as one of his regrets, I think that's a big piece of advice for people, is just to make sure you're practicing and training and working hard for what you want.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know per se, I don't know if I agree with the practicing, but I do think his advice was good. But so let's do a little overview of our channel and kind of a summary of the takeaways we got and we reviewed. First and foremost is your relationships and your time matter. That success doesn't come from you alone, that you have to work for it, you have to try for it, and you're gonna have to put in some effort to see success. But not only that, you can see success in different ways. It doesn't just have to be that one mountain, you know? The other thing we talked a little bit about is relationships. They will matter, and kind of diverse your circle of influence of all ages, of all people, all that kind of stuff. Would you have any more key takeaways from this channel?
Definitely, like, hard work can lead to not necessarily get you what you want, but it can further you in life a lot more. And kind of just, like, being aware of your surroundings too, I think, is another big thing we went over. Like, knowing the people you're around and knowing, like, how they interact with you, and how like if they're good for you or not so good for you. Like that, like I think that level of like maturity is really good to have, especially for younger people.
I agree. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to subscribe. We might have another upcoming channel. And don't forget to comment below if there's anything more you want to see or hear.
Thanks, guys.